Good evening everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are going to be doing a bit of a fun one. I'm going to be making an entire doll's house in The Sims 4. I'm going to try and make it usable. The only issue is that a lot of the doll's houses don't actually have stairs, but what I'm thinking you could do is that you could probably add stairs to like the front of it, or you could maybe mix up the back of the house in order to add your own stairs if you wanted it to be so you can actually walk through it. I am going to be going with this very old sort of vintage looking house. These are the kind of doll's houses that I imagine. From searching online, there are a lot of doll's houses that are way more modern, and honestly I just really like the old vintage look of them. But if you would like me to do a modern one as well, please let me know in the comments below. But let's crack on and see how similarly I can make this doll's house in The Sims 4. So I've chosen this lot because it's kind of skinny and we can do it all the way across here. I am going to do the little flaps as well that cover the two sides. There is one as well in the middle that makes it into a fully like outside walled house, but I'm not going to do that big one. I'm mainly just going to do the two small ones on either side. I think I will also just fill in all of this grass to make it look like it makes a bit more sense. It's not, I guess we could also do a platform actually. Let's do it all on a platform because that should make a bit more sense. There is an alternative that I could do the whole thing on like a table. I'm actually kind of tempted to do it on a table. Yeah, we'll do it on a table, why not? So let's do some little legs. I'm just going to do it in each of these corners here. Then we can go up one and we'll have it be quite a short table. I think what I'm going to do is do a platform for the whole thing as our like tabletop. We'll just do it all the way across here. I think that looks about right. We could make these taller as well, like that. That is kind of cool. Yeah, we can do it like that. And then I think I might drag it out just one more. Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense. I was tempted to do it like a little bit skinnier, but I think it should be fine as this is obviously a table, so it kind of makes sense. Then let's choose some wooden textures for the whole thing just to make it look more realistic. I think that's looking pretty good for our table. We can now go ahead and add in so on the image, it's basically got this like grassy part in front of it as well, and I want to try and include that. I don't want this to be too big because everything in the rooms looks a little bit cramped, and I think that's part of it, is that obviously it wouldn't be that big in real life and all of the furniture tends to be a bit bigger, so I definitely want it to have that feel. Trying to work out the right spacing for it because also we've got like the big parts at the side that need to stick out, and that's important too. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. I definitely need to make that a medium height though, because we've got two platforms in there and it'd be way too small otherwise. Then I'm just going to go ahead and add in all of that wall there, and then we can go in and delete them. Then add up them back in. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good in terms of sizing so far. I do want to also make these slightly taller. Part of me wants to make these bottom ones even taller and actually make them the tallest. How does that look? We could make it a little bit better by raising the table up a little bit. Let's increase all of this by 1. I'm just trying to make it so that it's even with top floor, and then increase this by 1. How does that look? I mean, our table looks a bit weirder now. It's not too bad. I think that is about the right size for it. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go with that, and then we can do our grass, which is all out the front, and obviously we need our doors as well that come out here. So I think let's do them this much. That looks about right. Then obviously we have the green part right outside the front of the house, which I'm going to use platforms again, and we'll just do 1 square this time. There doesn't seem to be a massive amount of grass, so I think I'm just going to do it like that much, maybe. Just like 2 squares should be fine, I think. That might even be a bit much. I think it's only got like 1 strip of it. Okay, 2 is fine. I think I did 3 by accident before, but that's looking more accurate now. From looking at this as well, weirdly, these rooms seem to actually be smaller than the other ones. They seem to be pushed back a bit, which I'm going to have to fix. Or what we can do is actually just pull these forward, and that creates that difference in size that I think these have, where these sort of 4 square blocks in the center are actually slightly longer and come out more than these ones. But I think that is looking pretty accurate now. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and add in our grass. I don't know if we have anything that's green on the platform sections. Are any of these green? This is green. I think, yeah, that's close enough. I don't think we can get this in green as well. I think that one's a bit better actually. The brighter colors make a bit more sense because it is a toy. Then we've got to match that green that we've got there. We do not have a lot of green choices. Hopefully we can find something that kind of looks like it. Even like real grass might actually work. Yeah, that does actually kind of work. Let's use real grass. So it's looking pretty good. Let's go to our roof and do some of that. So in this, it's just got very simplistic roof. We do have chimneys in every single room, which is chaotic chaotic, but should be fine. It seems to also just use these classic like pyramid roofs instead of anything a bit more exciting, which is also okay, because what I can do is then just mix them like this to get that different sizing in. That's looking pretty good. We're gonna have to do the back section as well, just to make it look as realistic to when it was all like on from one side it looks like a realistic house, and then the other side is where you play. The roof is just kind of like this dark kind of straight across tiling, so something like this if we can get that darker. Yeah, I think that's about right. Are there any that look a little bit nicer? I think we've got this as well. That one's quite nice, but we are going with a more Victorian style, and I don't think you'd really have those. I think the one we've picked isn't too bad. Then obviously it's just got these concrete kind of chimneys coming out the top. They are square, but I feel like these are actually quite similar. Let's see if there's any that look a bit more like it. These aren't too bad. Do we have any that are like properly square? I don't really like these ones because the bricks on them look a bit funny. This would also be perfect if it came in a more cream tone, but it doesn't. So I think we're going to go with these ones. And we've got 4 of those, and they're about central with the room. Do wish that this roof wasn't as dark as it is. I wonder if there's a better one we can get. This one's a little bit better. I think I'm going to go with that one instead. The lighter color just makes it look a little bit nicer. So weirdly, in this doll's house, we actually don't have any windows at all, but obviously there's kind of windows, but you don't have windows on the inside. They're only windows on the outside. So what I think I'm going to do is actually just build up a second level on the outside so that we can make this house look a little bit nicer, but from this side where we can actually put on some windows. What I'm gonna do, I think, is basically just add all of this in. We'll stretch the roof over the top, and then I'm gonna make this side have like a bunch of windows and things, and what we'll do is do a dark color on the inside of the house so you can't really notice. I'll just add like black to the inside so that it's like a shadowing instead. Then if we can find something that's got like quite thick brick, I think that would look a little bit better on this house. I think that's looking pretty good. Then we can go in and add in our windows, and of course I'm gonna have like a front door around this side as well. I just want to make sure it has some like characteristics about it that make it feel a bit more unique, but obviously this side isn't the one that we're really going to be looking at. I feel like big chunky things like this kind of give it that like toy vibe because it's just big and clunky. Then I'm also adding in some pillars just to make it look a bit more dynamic. I think it's always better to just add in some pillars and some trims. Then finally we can go in and add in our doors and windows. So I'm just kind of sticking to the same kind of color scheme. I am tempted to go white with it, but we haven't actually added white anywhere else, so I'm not too sure how good that's going to look. I think I'm going to go with these windows because they definitely look like something I would see on like a Victorian house. I'm just going to kind of spread those around here. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good from the front now. Obviously it doesn't matter too much because we're not really looking at the front of the house, we're more looking at the back. We do have windows on these parts too, and they do seem to be square, so I don't know if we want to go with the same ones that we went with on the front. I am tempted by it just because I think they look quite nice and they look alright from the inside as well. Okay, so now we can come back to here and let's start with, I think, our walls through the entire thing. We have some very good wallpaper in here. So let's start with the walls on either side of the house that are pointing out that we just added our windows to. Now for these ones, they have very eccentric wallpaper. I think it's not going to be difficult for us to find wallpaper like this in The Sims because The Sims does have some quite eccentric wallpaper. It is red, so I'm thinking the vampire set might have some that work for it, but they're quite dark. Let's just change it to red, I guess, and we'll have a look from there. The only issue as well that I'm seeing is obviously a lot of these have trims, which means when we then do the ones underneath it, it's going to look a bit funny. But I'm thinking we might just have to deal with that. These ones I think are super nice, not for this, but there's definitely some rooms in here that will work with that wallpaper. I'm weirdly feeling like this works quite well, but it's got this gold tinge to it. I actually kind of like it though, so let's go with this one. So moving on to the inside, we have basically in every room, we've got a chimney. So I'm just going to go ahead and make that chimney because some of them are slightly different colors, and I think that definitely matters in here. They're all going to be about 2 in width, and they're all right at the end of the room. So now I've added our chimneys in, we can go ahead and do the wallpaper like I was originally thinking. A lot of them seem to just have the same wallpaper, but some of them are slightly different. So we're going to start on the left-hand side and work our way up. So I believe that this is meant to be a bathroom over here. Obviously it still has wallpaper wallpaper because I think they all have wallpaper. We're kind of throwing logic out of this one, but something like this seems to work quite well. So I'm going to go with that one for here, and we're going to just drag it along on this extra bit where it sticks out as well. Moving on down, the next one is actually quite plain. I actually can't even tell if it has wallpaper, so I'm thinking something like this would probably work quite well because it's very light and sort of blending patterns a bit. So moving over to our big rooms now, we've got a sort of flowery floral cream design in here, but with coloured walls. I believe this might work quite well for it. It doesn't have like a lot of colour, but it is a very floral design, which I think works really well for that room. In the next one here, it's weirdly got basically like black walls bar where this chimney is, so that's really strange, but let's do that because we're trying to keep to as accurate as possible here. I'm gonna go with dark brown, potentially just this color here, because I think that's as close as we can kind of get without it just being pure black, and I'm not a big fan of doing pure black. Then it has basically just a white chimney, so I think we can probably do this in this concrete color here. Concrete gives a bit more texture as well. So there's our, I think that's supposed to be the dining room. So there's our dining room. Moving over here, we've got a grey, again, like sort of patterned. I don't know if it's necessarily, not grey, we've got green. So it's like this sort of patterned green color. So let's see if we can get something similar to that. I know there's a minimal amount of green things in the game, so hopefully we can find something. I'd say like this is kind of similar, although it's definitely not as dark as it needs to be. These ones might also work because they've definitely got that more floral design. I think if we did this with this brown, it might be okay. Yeah, I think that kind of works. I wish they had those without the base to them, but I think that's pretty accurate. Then we do have a bright red room directly underneath it. What I like about dolls houses is they do always have like such varying colors. This one is quite a bit darker as well, so the vampire ones might work. Things like these I think will work quite well. Does appear to have a little bit of texture, so I'm thinking let's go with that one. Then moving over to our last two smaller rooms, we've got a sort of creamy orange color, and that seems to be in both of them, so it's the same color on that side. This one kind of is similar to this over here. It actually seems to have a different color in this back wall than it does the rest of it, but I might just do the rest of it in the same. I actually do think that it's supposed to be these, so let's do those two like that. I think that's looking pretty good so far. Let's go ahead and start doing our flooring. So it's a bit hard to tell what kind of flooring is actually going on in here, so I might have to ad-lib a little bit of it, but it does look like it's sort of tiling in here, so I'm gonna go with something like this. I think would work quite well, or just sort of a lighter kind of color. It actually a little bit looks like it's this, but I don't think they would have that in this kind of house. This in white seems okay, actually. Yeah, let's just go with white tiles for that room. Most of these rooms I actually think have like a rug instead. Some of them you can tell the color, some of them you really can't. I'm gonna go with like a cream flooring, I think, in this one. There is definitely red flooring in a lot of these, so I'm gonna go with that. These ones have red flooring, and I'm gonna go with this fancy like textured red flooring, and I think there's also red flooring in this one. It seems to just drag across. Then again, there is cream flooring in this one. I don't actually know whether what's weird is that obviously this is a dining room and it has red flooring. It might actually be tiles. That would make a bit more sense, I think. Let's see if we can get like a red tile instead, just because having carpet in a like dining area sounds awful. From looking at this though, I actually don't even think, is there a kitchen in this? There's not even a kitchen, I don't think, so it's kind of not that usable as a place that you would actually like live in The Sims. I think this is actually kind of similar, but it is pretty horrible. This is another one that is quite nice. If we can get any chance that we can get a different texture, this one maybe. Oh, that is definitely not like what it looks like. Let's bring up only reds and we'll have a look from there. It could just be something as simple as just having red tiling like this. It is a lot brighter though, maybe like that. That looks a bit more accurate, I think. Then I'm going to grab the soft flooring that we've got in there and pop that there, and then from the looks of it we basically have the same thing in these two as well. So now what I'm going to do is just add our curtains onto these windows and we can start decorating the inside of it. So it has these very frilly, like very Victorian curtains on each of these windows, so we need to see if we can get that. It might be a bit more difficult because they're rounded, but we could actually just add square ones on there. So the only ones that I can really find that are pretty frilly are we've got these, or we've got these ones. I think they're frilly. Let's have a look if we get them in cream. These are actually really cute, especially because they have that slightly see-through area in there. It makes so that you can actually tell that there's a window behind it, so I think I'm going to go with these, we'll make them a little bit smaller. I think that looks pretty accurate. Then we can go in and start working on our rooms. So I'm going to start with this one in the corner over here. We do also need to work out our fireplaces. So I don't know whether maybe it might be easier to go through all the fireplaces first, but they do all have varying fireplaces. So this first one has what looks to be a like sort of dark metal fireplace, and it also has a ledge with some items on it. The difficult thing with this one is going to be making it so that it fits in with it, I think. Not all of these look like the kind of older fireplaces. This one's not too bad if I make it a bit smaller. I think that actually looks pretty good. I'm going to do all the fireplaces first, I think, just to make it a bit easier on myself. Over in the next room, we've got another countertop. I think this is actually meant to be the kitchen from what I can tell, and I think the dining area slash living area is like right next to it. That would make sense. I think that's what it's meant to be honest. And then we do have a lot of bedrooms and one bathroom for some reason, but I'm looking for logic here in a dollhouse slash in a video game, so I don't think that I'm winning there. We then do have, I think this one might be kind of accurate. If I can get a like top section that is like blue, then I think it would work basically perfectly in there. If we go on to the next one, we can't see it that well because this one room is particularly dark, but it is also red. So can we get any that are red? That's got red on it, but it's actually way redder than that. This one's got reddy tones and is actually not too bad. Again, if I could get a red like shelf or something above it, it might work. This one I think is a little bit better though, so I'm going to go with that one. This one on the far right seems to be like grey with a red top to it. I don't think that these top sections are actually a different colour. I think that they've actually got like some kind of fabric over them to make them look a different colour, but obviously that's kind of impossible to do in here, so I'm not gonna attempt that. This one is like grey again, similar to the first one, so I might just go with the same one again. Upstairs it is literally the same as well, so I'm gonna make it smaller and pop that one in there. Then in this one again, we can't see amazingly what it looks like. It looks like it's quite dark, so maybe one of these like slightly darker ones would work for this room. I think this one is probably okay. It doesn't look particularly good in there though, so let's see if we can get one that looks better. Even if it sort of matched that wood that we've got would be a bit better. It doesn't match the wood perfectly, but I think basically the same one we picked downstairs works there too. Then we've got our last two, so we have a light brown one in here. I think this one looks pretty, and then in the blue room it seems to be like white. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one is just white, so I'm going to go with this one here. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go ahead and start decorating the actual rooms. So we have the little shelf directly above this one. This one actually is a shelf as opposed to just the surface on top of there, so I'm just going to grab a wooden shelf from in here to try and colour match a little bit. I think that's probably closer. And then we seem to have just a random object and then a flower on there. I can't see what the random object is. It could actually just be, it's ball shaped, so I'm gonna go with that it might be something like this. I'm gonna pop that there, and then we're gonna grab some kind of plant. It actually kind of looks like it's in a jug, so I feel like this actually looks really accurate. That's kind of cute. Cool, I like that. And then this is actually a bedroom, so we're going to go ahead and grab a bed. It is a very small bed. I would even argue it might be a kid's bed because it's facing this way, and we do have 4, so we could put a bed directly here, but I would argue it kind of looks like a child's bed, mainly just because of the size of it. All the other beds as well go lengthways, so that kind of gives me the feeling that this is a smaller bed than the rest. And I'm going to go with a white bed for this one, as it looks sort of white with floral design. Trying to work out which kind of bed I want. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with this one. I think it kind of looks the nicest in the room. Then we do have a side table in this corner over here, and we seem to have one as well directly in front of the bed. What I am going to do, because it's a kid's room technically, I'm going to make one of them a toy box, I think, instead. I think I'm going to do the toy box here. There we go. So I think that's that first room done. We can't really see a lot else in there. There is some clutter on top of this, but it wouldn't be usable by then started adding items. It does kind of look like it might be candles in that back section, so I've added candles in there. But there's our first room. Let's move over to our next room, which I think this is the kitchen, and it is very dark in this room, so I cannot see a lot, so I might have to kind of make up what I think is there for a lot of this. So for this one, it's got this blue pattern that goes all the way across here, so I'm just trying to work out how I want to go about doing that. We could just go ahead and add some shelves in like that, but I feel like that's going to look a bit odd. We do have some blue shelves, but they don't look kind of right. I think what I'm going to do is just make my own by doing this. and then we can add some items on top. So it seems to have mostly like pots, pans, and kettles and things on there, which is fine. We can definitely do that. I do have like these pans in here that I can just grab and pop up there. I think that's looking a bit more realistic now that we've added in some pots. We do have a big cabinet on this side as well. So let's see if I can find something like that. I'm pretty sure that there's things like that. There you go. This is what I was thinking. I think that's pretty much exactly what it is. And it does go right up to the edge here. Then what I'm gonna do to make it a bit easier to be able to play with if you wanted to play with it, I'm actually gonna add surfaces around here, including an oven. We don't have a mad amount of room though, is the only thing. So what I'm gonna do is add I think quite a dark fridge over here, if I can get one that looks a bit older. I guess they'd have like these kind of fridges, wouldn't they? So we could just add one of these right at the back, and then I guess if we add an oven here or something where it's kind of hidden away, which I think definitely works a little bit better. And there does appear to be a counter over here as well, so that at least it kind of works that there's things in that corner going on. There you go. I think that looks pretty good. We then do have a table in the middle of the room as well, which I'm going to add in. There just seems to be a wooden table with like 2 chairs next to it. As simple as you can kind of get it. I'm even going to do one of them on a bit of a wonk like that so that it looks a bit more realistic to this image here. And we do have loads of stuff on the table too. If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to like, share and subscribe. So I think what this room needs is a lot of clutter, because it definitely does not have enough clutter for what is in this room in the picture. So what I think I'm going to do is just kind of add a bunch of random little bits around the room where I can see that it's got items. We have like a lot of stuff on the table, and we've literally just got stuff on the floor as well. I think that there's even a white rug, which I kind of want to include. I can't actually see the rug very well. I just know that it's a white rug. So I guess if we go with like an old white rug, then it'd kind of work, or just something a bit more plain like this is probably fine. There's even a white bench, I think, just like right in front of this. It's very small though. We do have some stuff on this wall as well. There seems to be, I don't know, it's something in the corner on the right hand side about here, and then there's like a wall shelf or something directly above it. Yeah, I think that's a good amount of clutter. I think we could add more, but it looks okay as it is at the moment. So let's move over to our next room, which is our very red room. So this one has what appears to be 2 red flower like vases with flowers on it on either side here, a big mirror in the back section, and then some kind of like statue or something in the middle, which should be quite easy to do. So let's grab the red roses first and go with these ones, because I think they look quite like short and in the actual image, so I think that those kind of work the best. And then we need like a white kind of figure, which I think this is pretty accurate. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Then we do need a big gold round mirror in the back, so hopefully we can get something like that. We'll have to raise it up a little bit, but I'm sure that we can probably find something. We do have these ones, but these ones glow, so I don't think that's kind of the same thing. They're very modern. I think this is as close as we're going to get to being round, so let's raise that up and stick it in the middle. I think that looks pretty good. I think there might actually also be candles on the ends here, but I can't see them super great. This room is very dark, so I think we might just leave it for now. We then have a sofa over here, which it appears to be dark on the outside and then have red fabric on the sofa itself, which I think that is actually something that is exactly like that. Here you go. This is what I was thinking. It looks pretty accurate to what it does in the image. It doesn't have that darker outside. I was thinking, does this one, if we did red? Okay, yeah, this one I think is a little bit more like, even just looks a little bit more like a toy. Then from here, we seem to have a small table on this side that's like blue, maybe blue? Actually, the chair also seems to be blue that's on this side, and then we've got like golden design for like a dining table. This one I think is going to be quite difficult to get, because I think that it's really like unique looking. The little table will probably be easier, but I think the table that's in the middle of the room is going to be quite difficult to get, mainly because it's got like fabric draped over the top, and I think that's going to be really difficult to mimic. So for our little table, I think this is possibly the most accurate one. It's got that light blue color on top. Then obviously we need our actual dining table, which definitely does have some fancy looking drapery over the top. I know we can get some that look like that, like these ones, but none of them look as fancy as what actually on the reference. We've got a few options. It's definitely a round table, so we can either go with something like this where we have too much fabric being draped over it, or does this one have gold? Not particularly. It's got yellow, but it kind of works better. I think it's gold on top. It's a bit of like a mix of different colours, to be honest. Or we've got this one, or there is actually this fancy one which kind of works, weirdly enough. I actually kind of like that one. I think let's go with that one. It is glittery, but if this is a kid's toy and you're trying to show like shine and like metallic finish, I think it kind of makes sense. So we need to find chairs that match. The chairs are like blue, maybe red as well, like very bright colours, which I definitely don't know if we're going to get those that are going to match, but let's see if we can. All of these chairs as well seem to be made of like metal, same as the table, which is a bit of an odd one, and I don't know if we're going to be able to match that either, but I think let's just go for ones that at least go with that table. As these are slightly fancy chairs, I am wondering about getting the same chairs that matches the sofa we've put in the back. They are weirdly blue, so I think we are going to have to go with this blue colour, and I'm going to go, we'll do the same thing we did in the other room and just have it so that it's slightly slanted as well. I'm also going to put this one on a bit of a slant like this. Okay, that's looking alright. I can't really tell what is in the background here, but I think they're surfaces, and this one seems to go quite high up the wall, so it could, to be honest, it could be something like a bookcase. So let's go grab a bookcase. It's going to be a skinny one because we don't really have a massive amount of room. Something like this would probably work. Over here it kind of just looks like we've got a little table. I'm going to go with darker colours for the tables just because we can't really see them that well, and that I would assume it means that they blend into the background a little bit. In the back of this one though, I can definitely see that we have a round lamp, and I think weirdly there is one over here as well. I think it's because obviously there would be gaps in a bookcase, but I am just going to leave it on this one over here. Hopefully we can find something that's got a round lamp shade. I think this one kind of fits. It's definitely a white ball though as a lamp. Maybe something like this is a bit better because at least it's white. Then in terms of clutter, we appear to have some glasses or something on the actual table, so there is something that I'm thinking that would work well for that. Here we go, this thing. It's a little bit modern, but I think it's so small that you can't really tell. Then we do have some clutter on this back section, but I'm just going to add some books because we can't really see too much what it is. I think that's actually pretty fine for that room. There isn't like a massive amount of extra clutter in there. I do think that the sofa could be bigger, so I'm going to have a quick check and see if we can get that in a 3-person, not a 2-person. We do have this one, which I think that works as well. It's basically the same thing, and I'll pop that right at the back there. There does also appear to be golden things actually that I've just noticed on both of these walls here, so I think they're supposed to be pictures. So let's go see if we can get some like gold framed pictures or anything to go on there. We do have this, but I think it kind of works. I'm going to put it on this side just because we have a bit more space, and then we have this as well, just the gold framed ones. That looks pretty good. So now we can move over to our little room on the far right. So from the looks of it, it's another dining area. I don't know why we have 3 areas with dining tables, but I guess that's the case. This one looks a little bit softer. We've got some red cushioned chairs around here and on this side. Then we've got a just kind of like cream draped table in the middle. We definitely have a picture on this wall as well that we can see. We can't really see this wall too well. We've got a couple of random items on top of the fireplace as well, and a picture behind there too. We also have a little table in this corner with some item on it, so should be able to do that quite easily. This I'm actually going to use these like armchair, like living chairs instead of dining chairs, just because we don't really have much of a living space, and I'm going to assume that this table could just be like a living room table. So for our fancy red chairs, let's see if we can get something like that. It doesn't have any arms on it, which I think is going to be the difficult part with looking in the living chairs section. This is pretty cool, but I think that's actually a little bit extra for what this design is. We might end up having to go with something with arms, but I'm hoping we can find something without. This is actually kind of accurate. It doesn't have obviously the gold edge at the bottom of the chair that the one in the picture has, but I think it's pretty similar, so I think we're good to go with that one. And then we've got another one over here. This is basically sort of our living area now. We've then got a draped table in the middle. I'm going to see if we can get one in the living tables, but I don't think that there are any that have like drapery over the top. Nah, there isn't, so we're going to have to look at tables, like dining tables, I think instead. This one is a square shape, so something like this works kind of well. Are there any others that have a square shape? No, that's the only one, so we'll go with this one. Then we've added this little like shelf, this little like side table in with these candles. I'm then gonna add in, we seem to have just like a couple of little bits of decoration on here. We can't exactly see what they are, but I'm going to assume that they might be like sculptures. I'm going to go with a little pot, and then we can also go, what else could be on there? Thinking something like this maybe? Or actually, let's go with this ship. I think that looks kind of cool on there. Then behind that, we've obviously got a big picture on the fireplace itself. It's maybe a landscape. I'm gonna assume it's a landscape. It looks quite sort of bright. It's actually quite grey toned, so I wonder whether something like this might be a little bit better. I think that does look pretty good. And then we have another gold painting directly behind this section here. Gonna go with this one just because it does look a little bit darker. And then we can't really see a lot else in this room just because this wall is hidden off, and I don't really want to just assume. We do have some cups and things on this table though, so I'm gonna go with this tray again just so that we've got the glasses there. Okay, then I think we can move upstairs. So we've got our first little room, which is just directly above the one we just did. So somewhat upstairs in this room, it is very similar to the downstairs room. Again, we seem to have a dining table. We can't see it like properly, so what I'm wondering is that this might actually be a desk on this side, because we can only see one table and we can only see one chair, which normally makes me think that it might be a bit more of a desk situation. So I'm gonna go with that just to mix it up a bit, because we have a lot of dining tables. So from what I can see, it's a quite light desk on this side. Gonna go with this one because it's giving slightly Victorian vibes, or maybe a bit more older kind of feeling. For our chair, it's not really an office chair, it's kind of just a dining table, so we can just, like a dining table chair, so we can just go grab any of them from here. It does look like it's like a darker colour with one pillow on the top, so let's see if we can find something similar to that. This one is weirdly similar. It's got a yellow cushion, I think, on it though, which is kind of annoying, but I think this one's actually kind of similar to the one in the picture. It's definitely got darker wood, but I don't think we're gonna get something as similar to that. We do have this one. Actually, I think this one's a little bit more accurate. We'll go with this one instead. Then it does look like we have some kind of wardrobe-y type thing over on this side. I'm gonna see if there's anything in... It could even be a set of drawers like this. I think we might be able to find something similar, but it's quite small. I think this one's quite accurate. It looks like it's like this dark grey colour in the image, so I think this is probably as close as we're going to get. Then on this back section over here, we have flowers again, similar to what we have in the red, like, living/dining area below. So I'm just gonna... I could grab the same ones, or we could see actually if there's any other rose type flowers. Oh, we do have these, and these are very bright and they look super cute. I'm going to use those. I do need to move this a little bit though. So now we've added our flowers up there. We do have a very gold mirror again directly above the fireplace, which I'm going to add in now. Hopefully we can get one that looks about right. Something like this could work. It can be a rectangle now instead of the round one like we found before. I think we're going to have to go with this one just because none of the other ones are the right size. They're all very small mirrors. Then we do have some random little items over here next to this table. I can't fully see what they are, but we look like we've got something golden next to this cabinet here. So I can think about what my golden... I don't even know. I'm thinking about just putting this guy here because he's kind of cute. But it's quite tall, the thing that's next to this cabinet. I'm actually going to go with this thing just because it looks like it's a sort of the right shape. It's like skinny. And we can't fully see what's back here, but I'm going to add this cool little skull because I think that looks pretty good. And then we do have another gold edged picture up here. Gonna go with maybe this one this time because it is gold edged, but it's a little bit different. Then I think that's kind of it for this room. We can then move over to this one, which is another one of our bedrooms. So this one, the bed is over here on this side. So from the looks of it, it's got a cream sheet on it. So we'll need to find something that's got a cream sheet and maybe a dark frame, which might be a little bit difficult to do. I have noticed that if you have a cream sheet, a lot of the time it will give you like a very light or white frame to it. This one is pretty similar though, and it does have that slightly darker frame around it. We're going to go with, I think, a single in this one, and then we'll do a double in the other room. I'm going to change this slightly to this more yellowy tone because I think it works a bit better in the room. We then have a another little sort of table thing over on this side that appears to have a lamp and then some kind of bottle on it. Gonna go with this thing, I think. Yeah, I think that looks about right. And then we can find a lamp in here. Gonna go with this one this time because this feels very sort of old-timey. And it's got that slightly round feeling to it. And from the looks of it, we do have another table and chairs. They very much like that in this dollhouse. It is clearly a selling point. But we've got a little white table, so if we can find one that looks just pure white. I kind of like this one. I just really like this pack. I think they look really cute. I don't think it really matches though. This one I think is better with the leg shapes. So we'll grab one of those, and it seems to have just one chair coming off of it. Then the chair for this room is actually really similar to the one we used down here. I'm gonna grab the same one because I think we can just use the same thing and change the color a bit. We can't properly see what color it uses, but I'm going to use this cream because it matches the bed better. And then obviously we do kind of need a wardrobe or set of drawers, so I'm gonna grab one of those and I might just stick it in this corner here. There does appear to be something in that corner, but we're definitely gonna have to make it small still. So I think I'm gonna use this one because it matches the little one that we put there. I'll just make it a little bit smaller when we stick it in the corner. Or alternatively, we could grab this one, but it is covered in stickers, so it doesn't really work that great, and the wood color doesn't properly match. Alternatively, we could go with this one. I think this one's a little bit nicer, and it fits better in that corner without having to make it smaller. So for this one, we do have a big mirror behind here. It's a bit of a weird shape, so I don't know if we're going to be able to get something that matches that properly. I wish that this thing was bigger because this would be like the perfect size. Nothing else really has that rounded top to it. And this one works again, but it's a bit too small. I might just have to deal with it though. I think we're going to have to go with this one. If I make it a little bit bigger, we can kind of sit it on that edge there. There then is again two random objects either side, but I really can't tell what they are. I'm thinking we could go with a little clock on one side and then maybe a plant on the other. This house seems to have very minimal plants, but I'm assuming it's because I feel like it's quite rare that you have tiny plant toys, so it makes sense that you wouldn't really have that many in this house. But I think that looks alright. We do have another table on this side as well. So for this one, it does seems to have legs instead of this one where it's mostly just the body of the cabinet. I do kind of like this. How well does that fit in? Somewhat. It's a bit too similar to the other one though. I think it'd be better if we can get something that's a bit bigger maybe. This one's quite nice because it does match the other one that we just picked though. I'm going to wiggle it so it's not in line with this because otherwise it looks a bit funny. And then it does have something on top, and again, I can't tell what that is. Unfortunately, this image is a little bit too low resolution for me to make out a lot of these details. And obviously, the actual items themselves are tiny, so it makes sense. I'm going to add this thing on there because it's about the same shape. And then I think that's fine for this room. Actually, we do have some pictures. We've got pictures on this wall. There's one here, and there is some strange shaped thing directly above the bed too. So for the thing above the bed, I'm thinking about going just something like this, because that makes sense that you might have that directly above your head. Then obviously we need some more gold pictures and things to go on these walls because they seem to be using gold frames for everything here. I am going to try and stick to some older pictures just because we're kind of running out of the golden ones and I want to make sure that they still look old, like what you would actually have in a Victorian house. So I'm thinking we could go with that, and then this is sort of gold toned and I think that kind of works anyway. So then that's that bedroom done. We can then move over to our last bedroom before we have our bathroom. So for our next one, we do have a double bed. I think I've kind of goofed on this one. I should have put the double bed here because the bed is actually this side in this one. So what I think I'm going to do is replace the double bed to this room and then we can put the single bed in this room. It is a slightly different bed though, so we are going to go with something different. Hopefully they have that skinny one in a big version and I can put that there because I definitely think we do need at least one double bed in there. They do have a big version, so that's good. So we'll pop that there. I'm actually going to move this a bit so that if you wanted to play with it, you could. And then we can go into this room and use the single bed. So this one's actually got like frilly little bits directly above the bed. So I'm hoping we have that. If not, we'll have to see if we can make it. It's basically this sort of, but smaller. We don't appear to have it. So what I think I'm going to do is have to try and make it. So I'm gonna maybe grab this one, and then let's see if we can find something that allows us to have that frilly sort of thing above the bed. I think what we could do is actually potentially use curtains. If we had something like this, it might kind of work. It's not too bad. It's not very extreme though. What about this one? Problem is we have to make them very small in order for it to fit, but that's better than nothing, I think. Or we've got these ones, and these ones are a bit more three-dimensional, so I think that might be a bit better. If I put it like that, it kind of sticks through the other side, but I don't think it's too bad. And then for this one, we do have another small gold mirror up here. I think I'm going to use the same one as this, and we can just raise it up quite a bit because it is quite a bit taller for some reason. Then I've added a couple of bits on here, and then we do have a chair, weirdly enough. It's just literally sitting against this wall with an item on it. I'm thinking that we could go with something similar to this one if we can get the right color. It seems to just be quite a pale color, so something like this works. And there does appear to be another one just randomly in the middle of the room, which is really weird. But I guess if you've got a bunch of like doll pieces, I guess you just stick things in places and it just kind of looks a bit more cluttered. Can't exactly tell what is on top of this chair though. I'm gonna go with like this kind of thing, maybe, just because it does kind of look like some basket or something. There does appear to be a weird bucket over here next to the bed, but I'm not gonna include that just because it looks a bit odd. Actually, instead of these, I'm gonna use towels on top of there because I think it's more likely what that is. Then you can't really see what's in this corner, but I think I'm gonna do a desk just because we have the space for it and you can't really see it anyway, so it makes sense that we can make it a bit more usable. Then it also makes more sense why there's a random chair because it probably goes into that desk. Then finally we've got another cabinet here. There seems to be pretty much one in every corner of the room. I'm gonna go with a set of drawers slash wardrobe type thing this time though, so again it's a bit more usable. I think we will go with this one this time, and it does have a lot of clutter on it, so I'm just gonna grab a bunch of objects and we can just add them on. We're gonna go with some of the older objects though. There we go. So just gone with some books, a little pot, and of course a clock. So I think that's looking pretty fine. I don't think there's anything else really going on in this room, so I'm gonna move over now to our last room, which is the bathroom. So for this one, again, we have a gold mirror and it's right above the fireplace. It is a bit smaller, so we can go with maybe this one this time. I did want to use this one just because I think it looks really pretty. Again, there is a table in here, which is really strange, but I don't actually think that this is meant to be a bathroom. I just feel like it needs one because it seems really weird that in all of these, none of them look like bathrooms. And they definitely had bathrooms in doll houses. So I'm just going to go ahead and basically use this as the bathroom. We'll try and make it look as similar as possible to what it would look like in a doll's house. I guess you wouldn't necessarily have a shower. You'd probably be more likely to have one of these type things, which is like a bath shower, or you would just have a bath. I'm going to add this here, and then we can add in our toilet and our sink. So I'm just going to go with a pure white one for our toilet, and then we can add the sink closer to this side, where it kind of looks like it's like this kind of cabinety type thing. So I'm going to add that there, and we'll leave the table because I don't know why we would need a table in there. There is also some stuff on top of here, so I'm going to add, let's see if we can add like bathroom toiletries instead. We can do a little towel. I do really like this thing as well, so I'm going to add this into the corner even though you can't see it that much. I also think this weirdly works, like these pretty little flowers. Then I think that's kind of it, and there is our doll's house complete in The Sims 4. I think that it looks super cool. I really like all of the different rooms. I definitely think we needed to add that bathroom in there, otherwise we wouldn't actually have a bathroom, and I think the kitchen added as well also obviously makes it up. I think we have lots of bedrooms. I think they all look really cute. I think adding the table and then definitely adding the additional grass and sides made it look way more realistic as well. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post long content like this every Wednesday and Friday around 6 PM, and I try to post shorts the rest of the week. This is uploaded on the gallery under HextraHunt, so you can download it there if you'd like to. And if you enjoyed this video, on the screen now is another recommended video, so be sure to check that one out too, and I hope you all have a great evening.